what exactly is the Aleppo Codex and what does it contain?
Okay, so as you know, the technology of the Torah scroll has not changed for 3,000 or so years. It's a scroll. The Romans came up with an idea of, instead of using a scroll, which of course, as anyone who's been in shul knows, when it's rolled to the wrong place, is somewhat of a nightmare. You have to roll it back and forth, etc. Chiropractors are happy with it, but no one else. So the Romans came up with the idea of a notebook, in other words, folding parchment in half, binding it together into leaves or pages, and sometimes using papyrus, sometimes using parchment. And they created the book, or a codex, which became in common use by around the 4th century. So the Jews, so that's what a codex is. A codex basically is a book which contains a specific type of text. Now, the Aleppo Codex, it got the name Aleppo Codex much later in its history. Really, it was written by a group, primarily the Ben Aaron family in Tiberias in the 9th century, and later on, through its incredibly fascinating history, was transported to Aleppo in Syria, in Hebrew called Halav, or in Arabic Halav, or in Hebrew Aram Soba, and in the Syrian pronunciation. And it was there for a long time, which I guess we'll probably discuss at some point. And so it became known as the Keter Aram Soba, or the crown of Aram Soba, Taj in Arabic. And basically it's a Tanakh, meaning it's the Torah, 5 books of the Torah, the entire 24 books of the Torah, prophets and writings. But it's more than that, because it was an attempt to preserve the oral traditions of the written text. What is an oral tradition of a written text? Well, you have the written text of the Torah. As anyone who's seen a Torah scroll, there's no punctuation. There are no vowels. I mean, there are some of the Hebrew letters, but there's no vowel sounds. So is the word pronounced chalav or chalev? Chalav meaning milk, chalev meaning fat. Is it yir'eh, he will see, yera'eh, he will be seen, yir'ah, he will fear, yor'ah, he will show. Right. So you need to have an oral tradition, meaning you need to hear someone pronounce it in order to know how to read it. And in terms of punctuation, not even sentence divisions. So the punctuation is supplied by what we call Tameh HaMikra, the way we sing it. And the singing divides up phrases, puts emphasis on certain words, combines words, divides words, creates the sentences, and so on and so forth. But all that, until the time of the Aleppo Codex, that period was preserved in an oral fashion. You'd have to hear it from someone who heard it from someone, you'd teach it to someone. So this group of Jews known as the Masoretes, Masorah means tradition, as in Fiddler on the Roof, tradition, Masorah. So there is an attempt to preserve all of that in written form, with vowelization of the Hebrew words that we call today nekudot. Not only nekudot means dots, but it's really dots and dashes, etc. And of course, with the Tameh HaMikra, Ashkenazim called trop, which are also the cantillation notes, that they put all of that into a text of the Tanakh, and they added to it also notes about spelling of words, which is different spelling in different manuscripts. They noted that. They noted sometimes how often a word appears. They noted a word that appears only once in the entire text. They made many, many notes, a lengthy version, Masorah Magna, the great Masorah, a smaller version, the Masorah Parva. That does not mean anything to do with meat and milk. That's Latin for short or small. So, and that is really what was put in. That's the Aleppo Codex. That's what it is.